Hi, welcome back to another web development video where I teach you how to build modern websites using HTML5, CSS3, and a little bit of JavaScript. And in this series we're working with a program called Webflow, and you can find it at webflow.com. You can sign up for a free account, and you get the ability to make 2 projects before you have to go and create a paid account to get more projects. So you can go there, sign up, and use one of your free projects to learn Webflow using this tutorial series. What we're doing is we're using this template, just an HTML template that I found, and it looks like this on the front page. And what we're doing is we're just going through and building out all the different sections and learning how to use Webflow as we go along. We have gotten down to this section here, which is our blog section, and you can see the next part is to actually, when you click these, to go through to a blog page. So if you're familiar with WordPress, it's single.php, so it's a template that shows all of your blog posts the same way. And we can do the same thing in Webflow because we have, inside of our collection, we have a post body, and in that post body we can display that post body just like you would display all of your content here for each individual web post. So we have all of our data and it's ready to be used, and we just need to create our template pages so that each of our blog posts can be shown to the user on a unique page. And thankfully Webflow creates all of those collection pages for you. So for each collection you make, you get a template page, so you can reuse that data and create unique URLs for each piece of data that you make. So let's go into our blog post template, and you'll get a better sense of how it works when we get to the end of it. It's a blank page, just like you would have a regular static page, except that this is meant to be a dynamic page. And you can see that each of our blog posts has the same page, and you'll be able to scroll through each of those. So we don't have anything here, but what we need, we can see, is this big blog header, full width, and it's just like the one that's on our home page. So let's go back to our home page, and one of the really cool things about Webflow is that you can actually copy and paste, and it'll bring not only the HTML content but the CSS and any JavaScript interactions that you've done specifically with the elements in that section. It'll bring it all straight into another place just by using copy and paste. So let's Control C for copy, and then we'll go to our blog post template. We'll click, we're in the body, there's nothing else, and we just do Control V, and that pastes it right in. And you can see here that it gives us our hero inner and all of our headings and our button, and it gives us our navigation and elements. So everything is here that we need. We can actually go through, and we're in the section now, so we're going to leave this hero, that's fine, and we're going to call this not hero home, but we're going to call it hero blog. So let's do that. You can see that I've already set up some things here with our hero blog. Not sure it's the best image to use, but it's the one that we're going to use, and I'll show you how I've gone through that. So when I took away the hero home, that was where our specific the background image and all that kind of stuff was tied to. Now all of our spacing and our centering is in hero, because when I changed this class, it still kept them. So let's go through and add a background image here. Sorry, I've been fighting some allergies. So when we go down to background and we click on here, this is adds a background image to the element that we're clicked into, which right now is the hero background, or the hero blog. So we've added our background image, and let's actually choose this image here, and we'll make sure that it is cover, so it covers the entire element. It'll make sure that it blows it up or does whatever it needs to do to fit all of the space in the element. And one of the issues you can see is that you can't see the white text on this particular image. They didn't have quite the issue here because the image is a little bit darker. It's smart to do that. But you can see that they did probably darken this up a little bit. They did it either in a program like Photoshop, or we can actually add a layer right over the top of the image and kind of darken the image a little bit using CSS. So that's the route that we're going to go. Before we do that, let's remove this button because that's not there. So the way you do that here is you click into your section, and then you go down. You can see you have a background here. We can actually layer these three different elements over the background. So if we click on gradient, it layers a gradient, a background gradient right over our image. So if we just take it and put it on the bottom, it goes away. If we put it back on the top, then it's over the top of our background image. And for us to be able to see our image, we've got to create some sort of transparency for this linear gradient. And this is, when I'm building a website, this is how I prefer to do some sort of colorization, or to put a color overlay over a background image, is that I use a linear gradient. It's well supported, and it's just a really easy way to be able to get some nice effects over top of an image. So when we click on that, if we double click onto the color, this is the first color up here in the gradient, and then the other one, this one is the second color. You can set more stops in here as well, but we only need 2 stops really. So what we're going to do is we're just going to bring down the opacity. Let's bring the opacity down to, let's say, 0.5 or 50%. And then we'll go to our second color. We don't want it to be white. We want our second color to be black as well. So let's double click that, and we'll choose black. And you can already see that we can create some really interesting effects just by doing that. But let's bring it down to 50% as well. And what Webflow does is it automatically creates a solid color, because there's no gradation, there's no difference between the two. So I found this out kind of the hard way. So that's not what we want. What we want is to make sure that there's a real gradient there. So let's take our first color. This is our first color, and let's drop it down to like 70. Let's bring it to about 70, and we'll take our second color and we'll make it black, and we'll drop it down to 50. Like that. Now it creates a gradient effect. You can see here it's kind of mimicked or mocked about what it is. But you can see that this is significantly darker up here than up here. So we're getting a darker color up here, and it's a little bit lighter as we move down. What this does is it allows this to pop out a little bit more. And then this is so large that it can compete here, but this, if we don't help this out a little bit, it's not going to be able to compete against this image background. So right here, this should say our blog. And I'm just going to shorten this text down a little bit. Just like that. And so now we have this nice big header introducing our blog. Alright, so the next part is our actual main content. So when we come down, we can see that there are 2 sections. There's a main content section, and then there's a sidebar. So let's create each of those using CSS Grid. So I'm going to come back to our body. So we don't need this section open anymore. So come to our body, click section, and it automatically adds a new section at the end of the body. Let's call this section blog. We could call it blog single, blog main will be the ID. And then we'll call this whole section blog. We'll just stay with it, blog main. And inside of our blog main, what I want to do is I want to set up something that'll help us to get this structure. So we need one column here and we need one column here. And the best way to do that for me is to use CSS Grid. And we actually have a CSS Grid block that we can just insert right into the page. So we're going to do that. We'll put that into our blog main. And now you can see that we have 2 columns and 2 rows. We can get rid of one of these rows because we don't need them. We only need this 2 column structure. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to manipulate these columns a little bit. Really just this right column, which is going to be our sidebar. And you can either do it here where you affect the sizing, or you could actually do a min-max setting. So the minimum of 200 pixels, a maximum of 1 FR, or you can just set the size one time where it remains this size all the time. You can also do that from up here. So this is your first, that's this column over here, and then this is the second column over here, so you have the same controls. You can also add more columns this way just by clicking the plus, and so it adds a 3rd column. You can change those here by deleting them, or you can move them up and down. Okay, so there's lots of different ways to manipulate these. What I want to do is create a 300 pixel wide sidebar, so you can see that. So this will always remain 300 pixels, and then this will be the part that is fluid over here. So we want this sidebar to remain the same, but we want this to be real fluid. So the image and the words themselves are going to flow a little bit when the size of the screen changes. We also want our grid to be a fixed, not a fixed width, but have a maximum width, just like the rest of our content has had that maximum width of 1200, and then also centered. So you can see that it creates, well, if this is 300 pixels and then there's a little bit of gap, then this is going to be about 900 pixels wide, so at its widest. And then as the screen shrinks in, that will also, the main content is going to squeeze down a little bit. So we have our blog grid all set up. If we click on that, let's see, we double click it. How do we get back to editing our grid? Okay, there we go. So we have our grid set up here, and what we want is to put a div here and to put a div here. That way we can insert our content in there and sort of manipulate things a little bit like we want to. So let's put one div there, and let's put one div here for the sidebar. So we're going to call this one sidebar, blog sidebar, and then we're going to call this one blog we'll call it blog post. And for our blog post, what do we have? We have our main image, and then we have our blog content, and then after that we have some tags or categories, I guess. So let's start with just adding our blog image. So we add that into our blog post. We're going to connect the blog image to our main image, and so that should show, for each blog post, it should show our main image. And then underneath that, we're going to add rich text. So if we look, you normally might think, well, let's add a paragraph, but that's not really what we have. What we have is our post body, which you can see is a rich text field. So we've added rich text, and we need to connect that rich text to a rich text element. So we take our rich text element, we put it at the end. Well, it's not exactly what it was. Let's try again. Let's try to add it at the end of our, yeah, there we go, underneath our image. And then for our rich text, we're going to get the post body. So that actually gets the post body for each text. So when we look at each of our different blog posts, which I think you can do Alt, Control, Shift. What is it? Control Alt, Control Shift, Alt Shift. Yeah. So you can see up here that our post is changing. So if you do Alt Shift on PC, you can scroll through all of your different pages here. And you can see that each of our headers is being brought in, and each of our unique text is being brought in. So that's how you set up the template page. For our sidebar, we can have some static content over here. It doesn't have to be dynamic. Really, the only dynamic content is here, and then our about the author. So let's add our author section here, and we'll come down and we'll just let's add a div block just at the end of this section. Let's see, yeah, after our rich text block. We're going to call this blog post author, and then we're going to use some of our author dynamic content, so in the attorneys, and then we're going to pull that in. So let's see what we can do with that. You could also create a new collection for your blog post authors, but we're just going to use our attorneys, and I'll just show you how to kind of pull in more information from a different collection into your blog post. So you can pull in data from any of your collections into any part of your website, which is really a cool thing that they've done here. So we need an image, and that image is going to be pulled from how will we do that? Let me see. I'm still learning how to do that. Let's pull in a collection. Maybe we can't do those things. What is it called? It's called maybe I don't have access to that part of the CMS. There's a couple of other things here that you can choose, I think. So maybe we don't have that available to us. I'll have to look into that. Let's create the section anyway, our blog post author, and we'll just create a static section here. So blog post author, and then we'll take an image and we'll set an image in here, and we'll just choose an image. We can upload something. Let's see, who do we have? Okay, into our garbage. And I'd put these into the recycling bin. So let's just put these guys back restored. And then we should have access to them again. So let's come and upload an image. And let's upload this lady. And then we'll have access to her image right offhand. Because before we previously had access to her image inside the collection, right? So maybe she's our blog post author. And one of the things that we can do is add in her information. So what do we have here? We have about the author, and then we have a little bit about her. So let's create another div block, and this div block is going to be something that we use in order to wrap our text. Okay. So let's take this, let's put it in here. Sorry. Choose her again. Okay. And this is going to be called blog post author text. And then inside of here, we're going to put about the author. So I have that. And then inside of, just beyond that, we're going to have a paragraph of text. So we want to put this with, yeah, right there. If you ever want more fine-grained control, you can always put it up here with the navigator. So we'll just have that there. So now we have all of our elements, but you can see that they're flexed. So let's go ahead and choose our blog post author container, and then we'll just flex those elements. And you can see that they're flexed. This image needs to be auto. Let's just give it an expressed width of 100 pixels. Let's try that. And a height of 100 pixels. And so now we have our image down here set to that height. Let's give it a border radius of 50%, and that'll give us a circle. And let's make this a little bit larger, actually. Let's try 150 by 150. Okay, that's a little bit better. And our about the author is just sort of a normal font weight, not bold. So let's try normal. And let's try our body trick. We didn't set the body for this page, so the body style should be Montserrat. So we have normal, let's make this like 18. Let's try 24. Okay, that looks good. Let's give this a little bit of spacing here. Margin to the right of 1 rem. That should be 16 pixels. And again, let's mess with the width of this. Let's go to 125 by 125. We'll see how that does. With our section here, we can center them. Not our blog post. Our blog post author. We can actually center them vertically. Right now they're being stretched, but we can actually center that vertically so that they are centered next to each other. And then the last thing, maybe we can give it 32 or so pixels of margin. So now that we have our blog post author down at the bottom, so you can see that. And if we take a look at our page, you can see that we have our main header for the blog, and then we have our dynamic content, and then we have our blog author down here. So you can even create a little bit more space, I suppose. Everything's a little bit slow today. Okay, so instead of 32, let's try 64. Okay, and that gives us even a little bit more space down at the bottom. And then if you wanted to, you could create I'm not going to do it, but you could create just static elements over here. So you could create your categories, you could create all the different things. If you wanted to add categories to your blog post, you would come into your collection settings and you would add a category as one of your collection fields, so that when someone fills out and creates a new blog post, they could also attach it to a category, and then you could then create this sort of category section over here. You could create tags and then create a tag cloud, so that when you clicked on one of these, it goes to a collection, a page that has tags. You know, has all of your posts from a particular tag. Okay, so I think that you can create that sort of layout inside of Webflow. It might be a little bit more advanced. Let's go ahead and make this blog main. Let's give it some margin. Maybe also 64. Okay, and that separates it from the top a little bit, so that when we preview our page, we have our blog, we have our blog content here. We could do some more things to manipulate and control spacing here, you know, between our different heading sizes and that type of thing. But essentially, if you move through all of your different blogs, you have all of your blog content, you have your author, and the 15 best blogs. So all of your dynamic content is being pulled in to the blog page. So I'm not going to go super in depth into how to do that. There are some really good tutorials on the YouTube channel, and also at Webflow University. If you look that up, you'll be able to find more in-depth tutorials from the Webflow team about how to make those designs, you know, exactly like you want them, and go into more detail about those things. But generally, I just wanted to get it hooked up where when you click on the blog section down at the bottom, that you would then, oh, we haven't done that. Let's do that part. You have to be able to link these up to the particular, you have to link them up to the particular articles. So the way you do that is you come in and you use one of these link blocks. So we take a link block and let's put it here on the collection item. And what we're going to do is we're going to move all of this into the link block. You could just do the image, so this would mean that if someone clicks the image then they go, but we also are going to want to move this into the link block. Let's see. What do we got here? Alright, so we have a link block here. It has the image. We also want the heading to go into the image or into the link block, but not necessarily the post meta. So you can see that it is a link because it's actually turned these into links. And when we go to our preview, we can see that this is not a link to anything, but these are linked off. And if we click them, it should take us to our place, but we haven't hooked that up yet either. So when you're in your link block, let's see, how do we get there? There it is. So you're in our link block. We need to connect it to something. So how do we get our URL? We get our URL by going to a collection page, and then you choose which collection page you want. What we want is the current blog post page, and that will give us the collection page for this blog post and then for this blog post. So when we set that, we go to our preview. We can see that when we click this, it goes to the page that we just set up with our individual post. So it goes right there. And then if we were to scroll through, we could see all of our individual posts. If we go back to our home page, then each of our blog posts is set up to do that. We would probably want to go in and change some of the styling here for our H1 heading, and we want to make it no text underline, and we want to give it this color. Let's see. Can we do that? Maybe we have to do that at the link block level and create this as our color. Let's see, yeah. So we do it at the link block level, and then it gets rid of all of our styles for our link blocks. Okay, so that's how you would set up your blog, and the blog posts go to the collection. Now if you wanted to have the same thing happen where you had more of an extensive bio for each of these guys and this lady, then when you click on them, you can actually set up a page for your attorneys as well. And so you would go to the attorney page, and just like you've done before, you create a template for each of your attorneys, and then you have all of their information here. Now I'm not going to go that extensively into it, just trying to give you an overview of the Webflow tool itself, as opposed to showing you how to develop inside, like how to make the website and how to do more of a strategy type thing for your website. But that is creating the blog section, and then now creating the blog post page. Alright, and whenever we go back to our home page, let's see what we have left. I believe it's only the footer that we have left to deal with on this site. Yep, and all that we have left is the footer section. So that'll be the last video that we go through. And I'm missing something here. There's a background to this section. So if we click on there and we go to our background color, we can choose the white smoke, and then now we have a little gray section for our blog. And then last, we'll put our footer down here, and that will be the end of our website. If you have any questions, please just leave them down in the comment section below, and I will get to them as quickly as I can. This again is using Webflow in order to create a new marketing type of website for your brand or your company or your clients. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time.